They say you never see betrayal coming from the people you trust most. I used to think that was just something bitter people said. Now I know better. My name doesn't matter anymore. Not the person I was back then anyway. What matters is that I spent 5 years with Emma. 5 years of building something I thought was real. She was everything to me. Beautiful, smart, ambitious. The kind of woman who made me want to be better. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. I had a decent job at a marketing firm, pulled in about $70,000 a year. Nothing fancy, but enough. Emma always said she didn't care about money. I just want us, she'd tell me while we cooked dinner in our small apartment. A little house someday, maybe 2 kids. That's all I need. I believed her. Things changed about 6 months before everything fell apart. Emma started spending more time with my family, especially my brother Jake. Jake was different from me. He'd inherited my father's real estate business, drove a Mercedes, lived in a penthouse downtown. Growing up, I was always in his shadow, but I'd made peace with it. "I'm grabbing coffee with Jake after work," Emma said one evening, barely looking up from her phone. "Again? That's the 3rd time this week. He's helping me with some career advice. Relax." She kissed my cheek. "You're being paranoid." I let it go. What else could I do? They were just friends. That's what I kept telling myself every time I saw them laughing together at family dinners, every time she came home late, smelling like his cologne. It was a Tuesday when I found out the truth. I left work early with a migraine, came home around 3 in the afternoon. Emma's car was in the parking lot. The apartment was quiet. Then I heard her voice from the bedroom, laughing, but not the way she laughed with me. I opened the door. Emma was in our bed, with Jake. They both froze. For a second, nobody said anything. Then Jake grabbed his shirt from the floor. "Look, man. Get out." My voice didn't sound like mine. "Let me explain. I said get out." Jake left, just like that. Didn't even look back. Emma sat up, pulling the sheets around herself. She didn't cry, didn't apologize. She just stared at me with this cold, blank expression. "How long?" I asked. "Does it matter?" "How long?" She sighed. 4 months. 4 months. A third of a year. While I was planning to propose, she was sleeping with my brother. "I want you to leave," I said. "This is my apartment too." "I don't care." "Get out. Go to him, since that's clearly what you want." Emma stood up, started getting dressed. "You want to know the truth? Fine. I've been unhappy for over a year. Jake gets me. He understands what I want from life. And what's that? Money? Stability, security, a future that's actually worth something." She looked at me. "Jake can give me the life you never could. I'm done pretending this is enough." "So that's it? 5 years and you're just done?" "Yes." She grabbed her purse. "I'm done." She left that night, moved straight into Jake's penthouse. I thought that was the worst of it. I was wrong. The next morning, my phone exploded with calls. My mother was first. "Your brother called. He told us what happened." "Mom, he was sleeping with my girlfriend." "I know, sweetheart, and I know you're hurt. But you need to understand, these things happen. They have real feelings for each other." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Real feelings? "Mom, he betrayed me." "Don't be dramatic. You're both adults. Jake didn't plan this. Sometimes love just happens." My father was worse. "I heard about you and Emma," he said when I called him. "Jake feels terrible, but he's in love. You need to accept that and move on." "Accept it? Dad, he's my brother. And he's also my son. He's taking over the new development project next month. He needs to focus, not deal with family drama. Be the bigger man here." The bigger man. They wanted me to be the bigger man while my brother stole my girlfriend and my family chose his side. Even my sister texted me, "I know this sucks, but I saw them together at dinner last night. They actually seem really happy. Maybe it's meant to be." 2 months later, the invitation arrived. Cream-colored paper, expensive cardstock, gold lettering. Jake Morrison and Emma Chen request the honor of your presence at their wedding. The wedding was at my parents' estate. I wasn't in the wedding party. I was just another guest. I stared at that invitation for an hour. Then I threw it in the trash. Something changed in me that day. I realized I'd spent my whole life being the nice guy, the understanding one, the one who made peace and kept quiet. Not anymore. I made a phone call to a recruiter I'd met months earlier. Then I called my landlord and broke my lease. Within 2 weeks, I'd packed everything I owned into my car and left town. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I was done being the shadow. It was time to become someone they couldn't ignore. Have you ever been betrayed by family? Tell me in the comments, because what happens next in my story? They never saw it coming. Hit that subscribe button, because Chapter 2 is where everything changes. I moved to Seattle with 2 suitcases, a laptop, and about $12,000 in savings. No plan, no safety net, just a burning need to become someone different. The first few months were hell. I rented a studio apartment in a decent neighborhood, nothing fancy, just clean and quiet. Got a job at a tech startup called Voltage through that recruiter. The pay was slightly better than my old job, but the hours were brutal. 60, sometimes 70 hours a week. I didn't care. I needed to stay busy. Needed to not think about Emma in a wedding dress walking toward my brother. "You look like shit," my new boss Marcus said one morning, finding me at my desk at 6 a.m. "Did you even go home last night?" "Finish the Morrison account presentation. It's on your desk." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "That wasn't due until Friday." "I know." He studied me for a moment. "Whatever you're running from, man, just make sure you're running towards something too." I didn't answer. But his words stuck with me. 3 months in, I stopped checking Emma's social media, deleted Instagram entirely, blocked my family's numbers. If they wanted to reach me, they'd have to try harder than a generic "how are you" text every few weeks. Work became everything. I took on projects nobody else wanted, learned coding on the side, started going to the gym at 5 a.m. because I couldn't sleep anyway, meal prepped on Sundays, read business books until my eyes burned. I wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone anymore. I was trying to prove something to myself. 6 months after I left, Marcus called me into his office. "Sit down," he said. I sat. "If this is about the Chen project, I can have revisions done by... You're getting promoted." I blinked. "What?" "Senior account director, 40% raise. You've closed more deals in 6 months than most of my team closes in 2 years. He leaned back in his chair. "Whatever demons you're fighting, they're making you one hell of an employee." Thank you." "Don't thank me. You earned it." He paused. "But seriously, when's the last time you did something that wasn't work or the gym?" "I'm fine." "You're functional. That's different from fine." He was right, but I wasn't ready to admit it. The promotion changed things. More money, more responsibility, more respect. I moved into a better apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Bought my first suit that cost more than $500. Started building a life that was actually mine. A year passed, then another. I stopped thinking about Emma every day, then every week. Eventually, she became just a memory. Painful, but distant. Voltage got acquired by a larger firm in my second year. Marcus recommended me for a director position at the parent company. I took it. Another promotion, another raise. Suddenly, I was making 3 times what I'd made at my old job. "Dude, you're killing it," my coworker Ryan said over drinks one Friday. "What's your secret?" "No distractions," I said. "No distractions? Man, you need to get laid." I laughed. But he wasn't wrong. I'd been so focused on rebuilding myself that I'd forgotten how to actually live. That started to change in year 3. I began saying yes to things outside of work, joined a hiking group, took a photography class, started actually talking to people instead of just networking. One random Thursday evening, Ryan dragged me to a friend's art gallery opening in downtown Seattle. "I don't know anything about art," I protested. "Nobody does. Just drink the free wine and pretend." The gallery was crowded, filled with people in expensive clothes talking about things like emotional authenticity and deconstructed perspectives. I was about to leave when I saw her. She was standing in front of a massive abstract painting, tilting her head like she was genuinely trying to understand it. Dark hair pulled back. Simple black dress, no jewelry except small earrings. She looked completely out of place, and somehow that made her the most interesting person in the room. "Do you get it?" I asked, walking up beside her. She jumped slightly, then laughed. "Not even a little bit. I think it's supposed to be about urban isolation or something." "Could be. Or maybe the artist just spilled paint and called it art." "That's what I was thinking." She turned to face me, smiling. "I'm Sarah." "Nice to meet you, Sarah. I paused. For 3 years, I'd been running from my old life. But looking at her, I realized I was finally ready to start something new. "I'm ready to actually be here." She raised an eyebrow. "That's a weird name." I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in years. "Sorry, I'm having a moment. Let me try again. I'm David." "Well, David, since we both clearly don't belong here, want to grab actual dinner? There's a great Thai place around the corner." "I'd like that." We left the gallery together, and for the first time since that Tuesday afternoon 3 years ago, I felt like maybe I could actually move forward instead of just running. Meanwhile, 2,000 miles away, I didn't know that Emma and Jake's perfect life was falling apart. But I was about to find out. Ever started over completely and came out stronger? Drop your story below. And trust me, you need to see what happens when Sarah and I get serious, because the universe has a funny way of bringing the past back around. Sarah was different. That's the first thing I noticed about her. She didn't play games, didn't test me with vague texts or mysterious silences. When she said she'd call, she called. When she liked something, she said it. When something bothered her, we talked about it. It was terrifying how healthy it felt. "So, what brought you to Seattle?" she asked over our 3rd date, coffee at a bookstore on a rainy Saturday morning. I hesitated. 3 years later, and talking about it still hurt. Needed a fresh start. Bad breakup? The worst. I stirred my coffee. My girlfriend left me for my brother. My family took their side, so I left. Sarah's eyes widened. "Your brother? That's..." "Yeah." "And your family sided with them?" Said I was being dramatic. That love just happens. I shrugged. Haven't spoken to them since. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I'm sorry. That's awful. It was 3 years ago. I'm over it." "Are you, though?" The question caught me off guard. Was I over it? "I'm better," I said finally. "That's enough for now." Sarah nodded. "Fair enough. But for what it's worth, their loss." 3 months into dating Sarah, I realized I was happy. Actually happy, not just distracted or busy. She made me laugh, made me want to be present instead of constantly planning the next move. She was a graphic designer at a small agency, lived in a cozy apartment with her cat Winston, and had this way of seeing the world that made everything seem less heavy. "You think too much," she'd tell me when I'd spiral into my head. "Someone has to. Not every second of every day." She'd kiss my cheek. "Sometimes you just exist. Try it." I tried. And slowly, I started to actually enjoy my life instead of just surviving it. Work kept getting better too. I got headhunted by a venture capital firm looking for someone to lead their tech investment division. The offer was insane. More money than I'd ever imagined making, equity, full benefits. "Take it," Marcus said when I told him. "You've outgrown us anyway." "You sure?" "David, I've watched you build yourself from scratch. This is your moment. Don't waste it being loyal to a company that would replace you in a week." I took the job. Suddenly I wasn't just comfortable, I was wealthy. Really wealthy. I bought a house with a view of the water, drove a car that didn't make weird noises, started traveling for the first time in my life. But the best part? Sarah didn't care about any of it. "Nice house," she said the first time she saw it, "but can we order pizza and watch bad movies? You don't want to go out somewhere fancy." "David, I like you because you're you, not because of your house or your job." She kicked off her shoes and flopped onto my couch. "Now order the pizza before I die of hunger." That's when I knew. I started looking at rings 2 months later. But first, I needed to deal with something I'd been avoiding. Late one night, curiosity got the better of me. I unblocked Emma's Instagram. Her profile was public. I scrolled through, my stomach twisting. The first dozen posts were from 2 years ago. Her and Jake at their wedding, on their honeymoon in Bali, at fancy restaurants, wearing designer clothes. She looked happy. They both did. Then the posts changed. A year ago, the photos became less frequent, more forced. Fewer couple shots, more solo pictures of Emma at coffee shops with captions like "Finding Myself" and "Learning to be alone together." 6 months ago, Jake disappeared from her feed entirely. 3 months ago, a photo of Emma in workout clothes, looking thin and tired. Caption, "New beginnings, again." 1 month ago, "Sometimes the life you thought you wanted becomes a prison." Last week, a selfie in a small apartment, nothing like Jake's penthouse. Starting over isn't failure, it's courage. I showed Sarah. "Looks like karma caught up," she said, glancing at the screen. "Yeah. You feel bad for her?" I thought about it. Did I? No, I feel nothing, like she's a stranger. Good. Sarah handed my phone back. "That means you're actually over it." She was right. Looking at Emma's posts didn't hurt anymore. It was just sad, watching someone realize too late what they'd given up. I closed Instagram and pulled Sarah closer. "I want to ask you something. If it's about getting Winston declawed, the answer is no." I laughed. "Not that. Sarah, My phone buzzed. A Facebook message from a name I hadn't seen in 3 years. Amy Chen, Emma's younger sister. "You okay?" Sarah asked, seeing my face. I opened the message. "Hey, I know we haven't talked, but I thought you should know. Emma and Jake broke up 8 months ago. Really messy. Jake cheated on her, emptied their joint account, and left her with nothing. She's been struggling, lost her job, had to move back in with our parents. She asks about you sometimes, says she made the biggest mistake of her life. I'm not saying you owe her anything, just thought you deserved to know. Also, congrats on your success. Saw your LinkedIn. You're doing amazing." I stared at the message. Sarah read over my shoulder. "Wow. Yeah. What are you gonna do?" I deleted the message. "Nothing. That's not my problem anymore." "You sure?" I kissed her. I've never been more sure of anything. 2 weeks later, I proposed to Sarah at the bookstore where we'd had our third date. Nothing fancy, just me, her, and a ring. She said yes before I even finished asking. We planned a small wedding at a vineyard outside Seattle. 50 people, nothing extravagant, just intimate and real. Sarah's family, our friends, Marcus, and the guys from work. My family wasn't invited. I hadn't spoken to them in 3.5 years. They didn't even know I was getting married, and I wanted to keep it that way. The wedding was set for June, 3 months away. I should have known peace never lasts. 6 weeks before the wedding, I got an email from my mother. "Your father had a heart attack. He's okay, but it made us realize how much time we've wasted. We miss you. Please come home. We want to fix this." I showed Sarah. "What do you want to do?" she asked. "Ignore it." "You sure? That's your family." "They stopped being my family when they chose Jake." Sarah nodded. "Okay, then we ignore it." But the emails kept coming. My mother, my sister, even Jake. Jake's was the shortest. "I'm sorry, man. I was wrong. Can we talk?" I blocked them all. Then, 2 weeks before my wedding, my phone rang from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "David?" My blood ran cold. It was Emma. "Don't hang up. Please." Emma's voice was different, smaller, desperate in a way I'd never heard before. "How did you get this number?" "Your sister gave it to me." "David, I know you don't want to talk to me, but I need to see you." "No. Please, just 5 minutes. I made a terrible mistake and Emma, I'm getting married in 2 weeks." Silence on the other end. Then, "Married?" "Yes. To someone who actually loves me. Someone who didn't need my brother's money to figure that out." "That's not fair. I was young and stupid and—" "Goodbye, Emma." I hung up. My hands were shaking. Sarah found me on the balcony 10 minutes later. "That was her, wasn't it?" "Yeah." "What did she want?" "To see me. To apologize, probably. I don't know." I didn't let her finish. Sarah wrapped her arms around me from behind. "You okay?" "I'm fine. She can't hurt me anymore." But over the next 2 weeks, Emma didn't stop trying. Texts from different numbers. Emails. Even a letter delivered to my office. I didn't read any of them. The wedding day arrived. Perfect June weather. Clear skies. 75 degrees. The vineyard looked like something from a magazine. Rows of grapevines stretching into the distance. String lights hung between wooden posts. I stood in the groom's suite, adjusting my tie for the 3rd time. "Relax, man," Ryan said, handing me a glass of water. "You look like you're about to pass out." "I'm good, just nervous." "Sarah's amazing. You've got nothing to be nervous about." He was right. Today was supposed to be perfect. Then Marcus poked his head in. "Hey, David, there's a situation." My stomach dropped. "What situation?" "There's a woman at the gate. Says she's family. Security won't let her in because she's not on the list, but she's insisting she needs to talk to you." I closed my eyes. "What does she look like?" "Brown hair, late 20s, kind of desperate looking." "Tell security to make her leave." "Already did. She's not budging. Says she'll wait until you come out." I looked at Ryan. "Get Sarah. Don't tell her why, just keep her in the bridal suite. I'll handle this." I walked down to the vineyard entrance. Emma was standing by the gate, wearing jeans and a wrinkled blouse. She looked thin, tired, nothing like the confident woman who'd left me 4 years ago. "You need to leave," I said, not bothering with pleasantries. "David, please, I just need 5 minutes." "You don't get 5 minutes. You don't get anything. This is my wedding day." "I know, and I'm sorry, but I had to see you. I had to tell you." Her voice cracked. "I made the biggest mistake of my life." "Yeah, you did." And that's your problem, not mine. Jake left me with nothing. He cheated on me 6 months into our marriage, drained our accounts, and disappeared. I lost my job, my apartment, everything. Tears streamed down her face. I had to move back in with my parents. I'm waitressing at the same restaurant I worked at in college. And you think I care? I thought you loved me. I did love you. My voice came out louder than I intended. I loved you more than anything, and you threw it away for money and status and my brother. You don't get to show up now that it didn't work out and expect sympathy. I was wrong. I see that now. You were the one who actually cared about me. Jake just wanted a trophy wife. He never loved me. Emma, let me be very clear. I don't care what Jake did. I don't care that you're struggling. I don't care that you regret your choices. I took a step closer. I spent a year of my life in hell because of you. I rebuilt myself from nothing. I found someone who actually loves me for me, not for what I can provide. And you think you can just show up and… what? That I'd take you back? I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, that I never stopped thinking about you. Well, I stopped thinking about you. You became a memory I had to get over to move forward. And I did. I moved forward to something better. She doesn't know you like I do. I laughed. She knows me better than you ever did. You knew the version of me that was desperate for approval. Sarah knows the man I actually am. Emma's face crumpled. So that's it? 4 years together means nothing? You made it mean nothing when you chose Jake. Now leave. Security, please escort her off the property. David, wait. 2 security guards gently took her arms. Emma didn't resist, just kept staring at me with this broken expression. I loved you, she said, as they led her away. I really did. No, I called after her. You loved what I gave you. There's a difference. I watched them walk her to her car, a beat-up Honda that looked like it barely ran. She got in, sat there for a moment with her hands on the steering wheel, then drove away. I stood there for a minute, catching my breath. That was her? I turned. Sarah was standing a few feet behind me in her wedding dress. She looked absolutely beautiful. You weren't supposed to see that. Ryan's a terrible liar. She walked over to me. Are you okay? Yeah, actually, I am. I took her hands. She's gone. That part of my life is gone. You sure? Sarah, I spent 4 years running from what happened, building myself into someone they couldn't hurt. But seeing her just now, I realized I'm not running anymore. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. She kissed me. Good answer. How much did you hear? Enough to know that you're really, truly over her. She smiled. Also enough to know that I'm definitely the better choice. Not even a contest. We walked back toward the vineyard together. The ceremony would start in 20 minutes. Our friends and family were waiting. A life I'd built from nothing was waiting. At the altar, I looked out at the crowd. 50 people who actually cared about me. Marcus giving me a thumbs up. Ryan wiping his eyes because he was surprisingly emotional. Sarah's parents beaming in the front row. No Jake, no Emma, no toxic family members who'd chosen sides, just people who loved us for us. Sarah walked down the aisle, and I couldn't help but smile. 4 years ago, I'd lost everything. Today, I was gaining something better. The officiant began. We're gathered here today. I barely heard the words. I was too busy thinking about how sometimes the worst thing that ever happens to you leads you exactly where you need to be. Emma had driven away from the vineyard with nothing but regret and a broken-down car. I was standing at the altar with everything I'd ever actually wanted. Karma didn't need my help after all. It had been working the whole time. So, Team karma or team forgiveness? Drop your thoughts below. Would you have let Emma say her piece or shut her down like I did? And if you made it this far, you know you need to subscribe for more stories where the betrayed come out on top. Hit that like button and tell me, what's your ultimate revenge story? I want to hear it all in the comments.